Hello, everybody. This is Pete from Paw Labs, and I've done a lot of work between last night's video and the one I'm putting out this morning. And while I'm uploading this, I'm going to put it on the website for you. I've done a bunch of fine tuning on the movement, so now it doesn't do extra stuff. Oh, what did I do? There we go. You can actually go all the way through the move. Different units obviously have different uh, distances they can travel. So, and I've also added zone of control. So the zone of control, I don't know if I decided that was in scope or not, but what the heck, I was working on it. So I thought about it last night and this morning got up and kind of punched out zone of control. And there's a few little tricks I've done that I want to point out for those of you who are following the code along. Let's see, the biggest is over here on our detail, hex detail. I've added two new fields out here, and these are not database fields. These are, I don't want to call them transient, but they don't need to be saved to the database. The zone of control and whether a hex is blocked, well, it's blocked by an enemy unit. You can't move on top of an enemy unit while it's there, obviously. And then the zone of control is the 6 hexes immediately surrounding the actual enemy unit. So zone of control will stop your movement, and then a blocked unit prevents you from moving to that hex. So now, these fields only exist while the game's being played. So they don't need to be written to the database. It changes literally with every move of the game. So it's something that gets updated constantly, and so they're in the object, but they're not on the database. So the creator won't ever see these fields. This is only a player thing. So then what I've done is, let's see, way down here at the bottom is where I've been building these functions. So we now have there's the movement cost function, and then this is the set of zone of control. It looks like a lot of code, but it'll run so fast it'll run in the blink of an eye. First step is to go through the terrain grid rows and columns and kill the two fields. Okay, we turn them all off. Then we come back through and say create a zone of control for enemy units. So if the unit, we're spinning the unit collection, and if he's not our current player that we're playing, then we want to create a hex. We're going to go ahead and grab the first terrain grid hex detail collection record, okay? Because remember, there can be 10 or 12. We're only going to look at the first because that's all I need to look at for this. I don't want to randomly put it in some stupid down layer and then I got to spin through them all or any of that kind of junk. We're just going to stick it on the first one. And then we're going to say the terrain, the unit location, hex detail collection, enemy zone is true. So the 10, 15, 20 units there get done real quick. And then for each direction 0 to 5, we find the neighbor hex, just like I do down below in the flood fill. I get the neighbor hex based on direction of that particular hex unit or game unit that's now a hex row and column. And then we load up a neighbor hex, and then we locate the neighbor hex cell in our terrain grid, select his first element, and then flip his zone of control to true as well. Now, Cities, I figured cities have have a zone of control as well. So the same exact process is done to the cities. Enemy cities, the 6 surrounding hexes around the city are zone of control, and the city itself is a zone of control, but he is not a blocked hex unless there's a unit there. So the city stuff doesn't create blocked hexes at all, and it's the exact same code over again, just listing the 3, 4, 5 cities that we have. So this code right here runs in a blink of an eye, if that long. And then we had to tweak the flood fill, which is hex reach, is what are the reachable hexes. And I also fine tuned him. And as you can see, I put in a whole lot of comments in the code telling you how and why, what it's doing and why. And so you can track along. And the big changes here, come down here, we get the terrain cost. And then we are going to go ahead and get the first element here again of our terrain. And then we're going to come in and say, okay, if, let's see, terrain cost, track movement. Oh, this is all still same. Wait a minute, what am I missing? So we grab the terrain cost, we then get the terrain grid, we grab the first element. Okay. Here it is. So if it's in the zone of control, if that is true, then this track movement, your terrain cost, is whatever it took to get you to this hex, and then everything that you have remaining. Okay, so basically you have no more movement to move past that. Otherwise, it just costs the terrain cost. Now, I've also modified it down here to say if your movement minus all the visited terrain costs to get to this hex is greater than 0, then we're going to add to the fringes and just keep looking to see if you can go farther. Otherwise, we're going to blow off putting them even into the fringes because you can't go past this unit. You're done. So that's the biggie. We also added if the code is if the terrain hex is blocked, then you don't enter into this at all either. So you can't go there, so it won't be highlighted as a place to visit. So those are the down and dirty fast things to look for. And that really concludes what I wanted to show you. And thank y'all for watching the video. We'll be back in touch with another one.